Okay, we have the kids up and we gotten this far. How you keep them moving? How you get the kids? Okay, we got you up. Now let's move.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go, go, go.
Yeah, because sometimes getting kids to get ready in the morning is like they're just like slow as molasses. So, it's just, yeah, you kind of want to light a fire under them, but yeah, we're kind of stumbling around in the dark also ourselves. So, probably the most important step in getting things moving in the morning and keeping it moving is to really look at the order of the morning schedule.
Okay.
And to kind of see, it works different for different people, so kind of see what works for your child. For some children, they need time to wake up, get dressed, and then eat. There are other kids that if they can come down and get something to eat, it kind of gets the fire burning, kind of gets them moving a little bit, and then they'll move a little bit better. Another thing in terms of routine is think about if there's anything that you can do the night before that might cut down on how much has to be done in the morning. And usually laying out clothes, getting backpacks, homework, the night before, getting those all laid out. Those are usually things that are very helpful. The other important thing about switching around the routine is that you're going to see as we get further into the response process that you want to arrange the morning so that if they don't do something, the natural consequence is that it doesn't get done. So if you order it so that they get dressed before they eat, that's usually a good idea because kids can always go to school hungry, but they can't go naked. So just rearranging that order so that when the time comes and parents follow through and say, well, you're not ready, I guess you'll need to grab something quick to eat instead, or maybe go without food. It's only one day. And I guarantee, if kids have to follow through with feeling hungry for a day, they're not going to die. They may get a few, cents from the school to maybe pay for lunch. But then when they come home at night, problem solving in the morning doesn't usually work real well. We're going to talk about problem solving, but you just don't have time in the morning to do it. If that happens, then parents after school or after dinner can sit down and say, okay, this has been a problem. What can you do to remember your homework, or what can you do to get ready on time so that you can eat and get out that door on time? So the one thing I will say is that if you swap out and let kids skip their breakfast and have something quick, make sure it's not something like a Pop-Tart or something really sugary, because then it actually becomes a reward. That, well, if I don't have time to eat, then I can eat something junky. And so then it can kind of turn into on-purpose misbehavior, that they'll do that on purpose just so they can get the junky food for breakfast.
It's funny that you mentioned, well, my mother did a list because my mother worked third shift and my father was first shift. So she made a list, make sure my hair was combed in, well taken care of, had a list. Put on my uniform, had my breakfast. Not that I'm saying that fathers cannot do the job, but I was the mother made sure everything was taken care of in the morning time. So that's when you mentioned that.
Yeah, and initially it is up to parents to teach their children. But then there's this transition phase of, okay, I'm teaching you, but now I need to let you use those skills and start being responsible for yourself.
That's what taught me.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Yeah. So when children, I have a second part here. So now we have the part where it's more that they're just dawdling and delaying. It's not that they're having a hard time waking up. They're moving in slow motion. Again, the earlier wake up time can be helpful. Again, we can tell them it's fine if you want to move at a slower pace. That's fine, but you've just got to get up earlier if you choose to do that. And again, using the language of choice is really important. Again, we don't want to say, if you're not going to do this, then, I'm going to make you, go to bed early. But just listen to your body and respect it and accommodate it. To help children know what's next, there's a couple things that parents can do. One is to offer choices for the next step. It's time for you to get on your clothes. Which do you want to put on first, your pants or your shirt? It's time for you to get breakfast. Which do you want, this or that? If children want to play, then they've got to be ready. This is grandma's rule, work before play. If you want don't use TV and video games as a bribe or a reward to get them to get ready. It's just a simple, we work before we play. We do homework before we go out. We get ready before we watch TV or whatever in the morning. Also have the child create self-reminder lists. Your example is really good because a lot of times the parents are the ones that kind of keep track of everything that needs to happen, and then they remind the child every time, now it's time to do this, now it's time to do that. Eventually what we want is for children to be remembering that on their own. So there's a couple ways of doing reminder lists. If you have a younger child who is still learning to read, just pictures of what they've got to do is fine. for children who can read and write, writing a list. And we're not talking about a reward chart where, well, if you do this, I'm going to give you something. These are responsibilities. They're not, it's not, do you get paid for getting dressed in the morning? Do you get paid for, yes, you get paid if you go to work on time. But this is different. You don't want it to be a bribe and reward kind of a situation. That's not a road parents want to go down, because they're just going to get kind of addicted to all of that. What they want to do instead is have the child help create a reminder chart of, so what is it that you need to do before you get out the door? Make sure they know how to do those things, and then they can check it off, or they can just kind of look at their chart, what comes next. And that way, if they say, what am I supposed to, what am I supposed to be, you can just say, look at your chart, what are you supposed to be doing next? And can ask a question of that. The other thing that parents can do is to help children transition. Sometimes the kids will just not quite know what to do next. So saying things like, we've got just a few more minutes until we're going to have to leave, or about 5 more minutes and then you need to be dressed and come down for breakfast. Just some little time warnings, and I don't mean mean warnings, I just mean, heads up, another 3 to 5 minutes and then you need to be, and tell them where they need to go and what it is that they need to be doing.
Now, if we have a child, say we have the child, prepared, ready, but what about the child that just won't get up, just defiant, just doesn't want to get up?
Yeah. And that I won't get up is a sign that that is intentional misbehavior. It's on purpose. And if you think about how do we feel like our authority is being challenged. So that gives a clue that the goal is power. The best tool to prevent and stop power struggles is choices, which I've already kind of shared you. Here's your bottom line. Here's the choices that you can do within it. You want to focus on how they get something done or when they get it done. Don't even argue if it's going to get done. It's a given. It needs to get done. How can you get that done, or when? What order? When can you get that done? Or maybe even the night before. So the key is to offer a choice, and then maybe reveal the consequence. If you choose not to be ready in time for breakfast, then you may be going to school hungry. Just to reveal that, and then disengage. So the problem with a lot of power struggles is that we stay engaged, and we spend our whole morning in a power struggle and arguing about stuff, and nobody's getting ready, including me, and I got to get to work on time too. Right. So you want to reveal choices, or offer choices, reveal consequences, and then disengage from the power struggle. And the other two things that taking that approach will do, number one, it's going to help prevent things from escalating into a power struggle. And what you often get there are these big drama performances. I can, and you won't let me, and then we're spending all that time trying to get them to calm down so they'll get back to getting ready in the morning. So that's one thing. The other thing that it helps prevent is us getting in that bad guy role. And nobody wants to start the morning with a power struggle and getting into fights and arguments. So, if children can recognize this is their responsibility and we're going to hold them accountable, we're going to do our role, which is to teach them skills, but then they need to be responsible for that. Children do feel good when they behave well. They actually want to do that. So if we're in this whole bad guy role thing, it just keeps all the focus on this whole power struggle thing, which we really want to break that cycle. So it's important for parents to just follow through with that choices, consequence, disengage in a very matter-of-fact way. I'm not doing this to you. If you choose not to get ready, I'll know that you are wanting to go without breakfast. Just very matter-of-fact, so that we're not kind of getting into that whole mean, bad guy power struggle, fighting all morning kind of a thing.